Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome to the worst reviews ever. I got my man, the Manic Genius, in here. Got KC Fred, and we got Amazing in the building. So before we jump into this review, man, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Pretty good, pretty good. Can't complain.
All right. Amazing. Appreciate you taking down that Christmas tree. got tired of seeing that.
Not me. I almost left it up, but decided to be nice.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so since everybody doing all right, man, we all getting out of the holiday season and stuff, moving to normal things. I'll go ahead and cue up these slides and stuff. So give me 1 second. All right, Manic, can you see that? You mind reading that?
Yeah, The Tutor is a 2023 American psychological thriller film written by Ryan King and directed by Jordan Ross. When a professional tutor, Ethan Campbell, accepts a job at a remote mansion, he soon finds himself battling his disturbed students' obsessions, which threaten to expose his darkest secrets and unravel his carefully crafted personality.
All right, appreciate that. Let me go ahead and jump into the directors and producers. I'll take that one over. So, all right, directed by Jordan Ross, written by Ryan King, produced by Christopher Kopp, Joey Stanton, Robert Barnum, and Eric Benz. And I'll go to the cast slide. So the cast for this was Garrett Hedlund as Ethan, Noah Schnapp as Jackson, and you probably recognize him from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Looked hella weird in the TV show too.
Oh, he grew up.
Yeah. He's kind of hitting that like you said, grown up phase. So we got Victoria Justice as Annie, Johnny Weston as Gavin, Ecterina Baker as Teddy, Gina D'Angelo as Miriam, Cabby Borders as Jenny, X.E. Booker as Detective Landry, Michael Aaron McGillen as Josh, and Joseph Midyett as Chris. And all right, we about to go to the rating slide. I'm definitely interested with y'all gonna rate this one. So we'll go ahead and start with KC Fred at the bottom. What's your rating for this movie?
Because it was a thriller and there were certain things that I did not see coming, I actually gave it a 6.5. I was pretty shocked, actually.
So we got Frederick got this in the good territory, 6.5. All right, amazing. What's your rating on this movie?
I'm gonna go with 7.5.
All right, so you got it in a very good territory. Manic Genius, what's your rating for this movie?
So I just finished watching this movie, and so I have a very fresh. I haven't got a chance to fully process it, but just I wanted to go with a 7.5, but just thinking about it, yeah, I got to bump it up to an 8.5.
Damn. Okay, so Manic Genius got this in the excellent territory.
Yeah.
And me, man, I'm gonna have to give this a 8.1. What was that, Amazing?
I said when Manic was talking about what he was going to give it and then changed after that plot twist, I felt like you had to recognize the plot twist.
Yeah.
It's like, just because I would have given it a lower score probably if it wasn't for that plot twist, because it totally took me off guard.
Yeah, but if you think about it, I was thinking about the plot twist and I was like, yo, I literally text the jerk. I was like, yo, what the? I was like, what the?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. That one was just like, I was not expecting that at all. I mean, I know we'll get into it, but that's.
But if you think about it from the beginning, it was consistent. Like you could see it coming. Like it's in his character, so it's like it's crafted really well. I had to think about it. I'm like, yo, that plot twist was crazy. Didn't see it coming, but after it came, it's just like I had to think about it. I'm like, yo, his character is consistent. I'll get to details, but yeah.
All right, let me go ahead and get my rating. I'm giving it 8.1. Yeah, I'm in excellent territory
too. All right.
Yeah. So our outliers for this one is KC Fred with the 6 foot and the Manic Genius. So We'll go to the man and genius first, since he's fresh off the presses.
Fresh off the movie. Without going into too much detail, I was following the movie. It definitely had its weird things, but you kind of see the different characters. The main character Ethan, you kind of see who he is in the very beginning, and just something naturally just didn't sit right with me. Like this grown ass man, and he's not like a young guy. He's like he's a tutor. It's like it seemed like a little sketchy. And then later in the movie, you know, things get revealed, and it's just like he's got this past, and this is like he's lying about things that he shouldn't really lie about, which gets him in certain predicaments. And you're just like, why wouldn't you just come clean about it? But it's just like, you know, people who are habitual liars, they just figure out the lie just kind of works best. And it goes all the way into the ending, and where he has to like confront some of the truth. But even then, he's in like a desperate position. So it's just like, is he lying about this? Or, and then at the very end, you're just like, oh, this is dark. So it was just a crazy plot twist at the end. So I appreciate that, because I didn't see that coming. That's why I had to rate it so high.
Okay. Casey Fred. This is actually I don't know if the audience knows, but these ain't Casey Fred's type of movie. So this is actually a very high rating with the 6.5 for this this
I
niche of
agree.
movies. So,
That's a good point.
so don't get it twisted. They're probably like, why he rated lower? But this is high for Casey Fred. So Casey Fred, why'd you give it this 6.5 rating?
Yeah, man. So honestly, I felt like this was I kept getting these Scooby-Doo vibes, and I kept saying, oh, Jackson, you going down, because these kids, they got good son and all these crazy stuff, and this dude probably is about to do some crazy stuff. And he kept all of a sudden doing weird stuff, but then you really find out that it's not really about him. And I'm trying to remember exactly that term where you realize that it's actually Ethan himself that we need to be investigating and locking up. And I think, I honestly, like you guys said, this ain't really my cup of tea. But at the end of the day, it had me intrigued the whole way. And then I was not expecting for Ethan to be the bona fide killer. And then he actually did kill somebody in the movie. And I was like, well, I guess the secret is out. I killed before I killed again. And so I think that's what made me like thinking to myself, okay, I did not see that happening. I mean, you got a wife, you got a kid, and you just, turn into serial killers. So I was just like, okay, I didn't see that coming at all. Just being honest with you. I mean, I was really like ready to lock up Jackson, and we'd be like, hey, we need to lock these kids up. These kids are bad up in here, and I don't care how much money he got, and stuff. And he's smart, but that wasn't the guy. He just, I mean, Ethan was a son that was literally just heartbroken, and he was like, he wanted this guy to pay that killed his mother. And he was just like, until he confessed, he was just going to keep going at him. And I was just thought that, wow, I mean, how long had you been planning that? How long had you been thinking about that? And so with that being said, that's one of the reasons why I said, wow, it did turn out to be good. Now, I'm not going to lie, I didn't like the 70s vibes I was feeling or whatever, because there was some aesthetic stuff where I couldn't figure out. Almost like, okay, what's the music about? What is this theme? Why is this all this weird stuff? I mean, and then you find out that people weren't who they say they're supposed to be and stuff. And it was just, like I said, it really made you feel like you was in this van with Scooby Doo and just really on this journey trying to figure out, okay, who's who and who's the villain, because you couldn't figure it out at first. You really thought it was Jackson, and you find out at the end that it was Ethan, and it was just this guy that's been just playing undercover this whole time, like a dormant type of gene or something like that. And so with that being said, that's one of the reasons why, like I said, I gave it a 6.5. I don't even think I could even give it any higher because, like I said, this ain't really my vibe, my cup of tea. Because even after the movie, I was like, I don't know. You didn't feel safe. Let's put it like that. Like you want to start checking your neighbors, you know what I mean? Looking at, some of your people like, hey, what kind of secrets do you have, and stuff like that. Because it just really opened up your eyes about people really in this movie. It's kind of creepy.
All right, let me get Amazing in here. Amazing. Why'd you give it your rating?
I just really liked that plot twist. Is just because I thought it was so unexpected. Because in the beginning of the movie, I felt like, okay, this is going to be kind of your typical, like this weirdo teacher and everything. And then so the plot twist just really like surprised me. But it's interesting because I agree with Manic. I was like, I know I had to definitely miss things, like leading up to this point, whether it wasn't paying attention or what have you. So I did re-listen. I had just like listened to the audio and had just caught a couple other things when I was commuting to work and stuff, just because I was like, okay, there's a couple things that I caught listening to it that I didn't even pay attention to the first time. So I think Manic was completely right in the fact that there was definitely little hints. And if you're not really paying attention, you would have completely missed them at the beginning. Like you knew there was something for sure. But honestly, when I was watching it, I was just like definitely like was thinking, okay, this guy's a weirdo. I thought the kid was weird. I thought Ethan was weird as an adult. Like this doesn't seem, like certain things would happen. I'm like, as an adult, you don't think that would be weird? Like, there's no way I would have went back to that person's house, no matter how much money. Like, it's weird. I would not have put myself in that situation. But yeah, so to me, it was just really, I think they did a really good evolution of the storyline and then would go, like back and kind of I just think they did a good job of tying everything together there at the end. And it really just kind of like stuns you when you see what's going on.
Yeah, this, the reason I gave it my rating, put it in an excellent category, because everything y'all mentioned, definitely that plot twist, but I like how pretty much, the movie started off like a little lame in the beginning, like slow. But then, it's like when he got to like y'all said, the mansion, it's like things picked up. And then, for that twist to happen, it was like, God damn. Because I didn't see it really coming. Like you said, going back, you picked up on different things. But until that twist happened, you're almost riding with the tutor. Like, man, why are they messing with this guy? He's just trying to. Then when you find that out, you're like, damn. So the fact that they can make you hate and love characters, I think that's what, definitely made me like the movie and stuff. Because it's like 1 minute you're rooting for somebody, like, look at this little weirdo over here, just entitled, You're like getting all the vibes from the kids. So it's just like, damn, man, look at it. And then once you kind of get the story, you're like, damn, okay, So yeah, definitely the twist in the movie made me rate that, and just the way that it just flowed all the way through, and it just picked up. Because like we typically talk about other movies we rated, it's always that like drop towards the end, but this one it was just like start off slow. It's like it just kept going up. So I definitely enjoyed that, about the movie, how it just picked up at the end. It just kept going. So, But all right, we'll go ahead and jump into the questions. So, all right, I'll roll the two together. Would you recommend this movie to anyone, and would you ever watch this movie again? And I'll start with you, Manic, on this one.
Yes, I would recommend this movie, and I would watch it again.
Yeah, same here. Definitely yes on both. I would recommend it and watch it again. Amazing. Would you recommend this movie, and would you watch this again?
Yes, for both. For me too.
Casey, Fred, even though this ain't your niche, would you recommend this, and would you watch this again?
So this is where I'm have to split it, because I would say yes, sure, feel free to watch this movie. I mean, I love the suspense, and like I said, it was cool because, like I said, the twist, the turns, there's so much stuff that you didn't see coming. It was pretty cool. And so for other people to see that, oh yeah. But for me, nah, this ain't really my cup of tea. So I can't say, ooh, classic territory. Let me just watch this again. Nah, this just, I don't know. It's not that kind of party. So I have to say no.
All right, all right. So the third question: what did you think about the plot of the storyline? And I'll go ahead. I'll kick this off. Just kind of what we broke down earlier. Like I said, I really love the plot and the storyline because, like I said, I like how the main character Ethan. He just seemed innocent. Like he's just trying to take care of his family. He didn't preferably like care for the job because when I went back, I was watching like him tutor all the people in the front. It's just all the prototypical, like rich kids that just kind of get on your nerves. So it's just like he was dealing with that. So I do agree with Manning. It's like, man, it's kind of awkward for like a guy that's in like good shape, middle age to be taking on that like role. So, now it sticks out. But at first I'm just like, okay, he just, taking any job he could to, get his family situated. So it's like you're just rooting for him. And then, like once everything starts unfolding, when, like I said, the kids come in, you're just like, oh man, here's these like, because even the kid's cousin that was at the house was like, all right, that was his cousin, right?
Yeah,
Where it's just like, oh man, just entitled rich kids, and they're just messing with this guy and ruining his life. Then all of a sudden, like I said, it's like the role switch when it's just like you kind of figure out the story. You're like, damn, and he just snapped. You end up hating him, and then you like the weird kid that you thought was weird all this time. You kind of start rooting for him. So that's why I love the plot and the storyline. So whoever wrote this, man, they need to get a star on a Hollywood or something. Like get this man some jobs because this was a great plot and storyline together. So I'll go ahead and I'll kick it to Man and Genius. We'll just go down on this one. What did you think about the plot of the storyline?
I felt like the plot was great and the storyline was amazing. Just for that same reasons that all you mentioned. It took you on. The plot is the plot, and you don't see it all unravel until the very end. And I like that about movies that can just keep you engaged the whole time, and then kind of like one up every as the scenes go along. So I felt like the plot is the plot. It was really good. The storyline, I have to give that like a couple gold stars because they really pull you in the ringer with making you love a character, hate a character, and you just see the overall development and just understanding everything. It excuse me. It all really comes together at the end, and the storyline. It did start off slow, but it wasn't at a slow pace to where it wasn't interesting. Like, it's like the director and producers, they knew that, hey, people are going to be interested, so we need to give them a little bits and pieces just to keep the interest. And I think that was like really clever how they started off with showing him at different houses and tutoring different people and showing the different range of students that he deals with, and like some who are actually pretty smart, and then others are just like just rich kids, like, oh, this sword right here, I think it's like worth six figures. He's like playing around with it when he should be, studying. It's like that's his method of studying. He's like doing some, dumb stuff while the tutor's there trying to like get whatever information he can to him. It's like, oh, when you say X, talking about math, he's like, it makes me remind me of my ex. Like, okay, this guy is like, his head is in the clouds. It's like, this is what he has to deal with too. So it keeps you interested in the very beginning, and then it's just like, just slow. It's just like a regular movie, and then towards the end, and it just gets really sharp and on point, and then like everything starts really coming together at the very end. So I thought it was plot was really good. Didn't see that coming, and then the storyline, how it led up to it, was really great too.
All right, amazing. What did you think about the plot or the storyline?
Really the same thing you guys already mentioned. Just to add on to that, or to reiterate, I think they did, as far as when you talk about like liking a character and then not liking a character, where I think they did like such a smooth transition for getting you to like Ethan. Like you knew that he was kind of an odd guy. You definitely knew that he was hiding things, like it definitely gave that vibe. But I also like felt for him when he's like, trying to make this money, and he would even say, "Man, I have a baby coming," and they did things to make you really like his character in the beginning, so you really are rooting for him. And I know we'll talk about scenes and stuff, but just one of the scenes that just correlates with that when Ethan's leaving the police station and Jackson calls him,
This is one
and
of your
he's like, "Man,
scenes, by
just
the way.
leave me by." But
One.
he's like, "Man, just leave me alone." You know what I mean? So with that storyline, they did just do a good job at making you feel bad for him, thinking, like, here's this rich kid with all of these resources, just like literally trying to ruin somebody's life. So I think they just did such a good job with that.
Just to piggyback off your point, because I like what you were saying, and like we were talking about, like, why the hell would you stay in those situations? I know we're gonna get into it, but it's almost like you could relate. I mean, I would have been gone, but it's just like he knew his kid was coming, so he was at a level of like desperation. So I like how they kind of painted that picture. Also, like you said, he was just the whole family line to it, where it's just like, okay, yeah, this shit is weird. I would have been gone, but I can understand why this guy's sticking around. He's just thinking about his family. So yeah, they did a good job of like the slowness, carrying on to his desperation and painting that whole like image, because it just blindsided me. I ain't catch none of that stuff. Y'all better than me if y'all did. But all right, Casey, Fred, what did you think about the plot of the storyline?
I actually thought it was really good. I guess I don't know why it reminded me of that movie with the mother and the daughter, and he was trying to find him and stuff, and you're thinking that it's going to go one way, and then all of a sudden it's almost like you got a detour or something, and you find out that, oh man, we're totally looking in the wrong direction. Because and the reason why I say that is because with Jackson as the kid, it cracked me up, because I don't know if anybody else saw this, but I thought this dude was not, yeah, he was rich and yet he was awkward, but he kept giving me like gay vibes or something like that. And he kept doing little things, and like felt like he was jealous of his tutor's relationship or something like that. And he would show up in, his room and stuff in PJs and sitting there and laying on his lap and just saying weird stuff to him. And I'm like thinking, who is this kid? This is not tutoring. I mean, I don't know where we're going with this, but this was just like, this ain't happening. And then on the other side with Ethan, it was just like you saw him as a hustler. Like, this is what he loves to do. This is what he's trying to do. Now, he wasn't like working at a gas station, but he was tutoring a lot of kids. Like, he's really trying to really get this money and try to, like I said, make something out of his life and try to get his it's not even his wife, but he wants to be able to go to the next level, or at least try for this kid and just be better than maybe his parents or what have you. But you find out later, of course, they wasn't there either. But the point of it is he was really trying in this movie to be able to be better. And even if while he was getting these vibes, anybody else would have quit, threw in the towel and be like, hey, I'm not doing this. But you saw him bend and you knew he was a hustler, because when Jackson said, well, how about $5,000? Would you, you know what I'm saying? And he knew he was about that money. So yeah, $5,000. Oh, sure. We don't have to do tutoring. I can go ahead and go. And you find out from Jackson's point of view, he was pulling him in because he literally hated him for what he did to his mom. And you don't even see that coming until the very end. You're thinking that, oh, so he's drawn to him because he likes him. It's not that he liked him. He literally hated him. And the closer that he got to him, the more he wanted to all of a sudden ruin his life. And it's like there comes to a point, and when we get to the scenes and stuff like that, it's kind of like really obvious at one point where all of a sudden he finally confessed and tells him the truth, and you see his true colors. And then that's when all of a sudden it's like role reversal, as far as the audience is starting to like, okay, we're not rooting for Ethan no more. We're rooting for Jackson because this guy has done a horrible thing to his mom, and Jackson needs payback. He needs revenge. And so what better revenge than to go down this long game right here of, hey, I'm going to make this tutor pay for what he did. And I was like, that plot and that storyline was just, to me, that was awesome. It was just some of the other stuff that I was just like,
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling, because it's not my type of movie, but I did enjoy the storyline and the plot. And you saw that, and I was like, wow, I don't think anybody saw that coming, honestly. And so it actually made the movie worth watching to the end. Because normally I would have turned this movie off and be like, all right, due to budget cuts, I won't be in next week, you know.
Hey,
But
Fred,
good.
I do got to give you some pushback, man. You mentioned the word Ethan and hustler in the same sentence a couple times, so Ethan is definitely not a hustler.
Well, as far as him always trying to get these kids, I mean, at the beginning, it make you feel that way is what I'm saying. I mean, he was lazy because don't get me
He's a
wrong, 'cause
bum.
when he got to the mansion, he was in every room and he was checking out all kinds of stuff or whatever. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be getting paid. But you felt like he was trying to do the right thing, at least for his future kid that was coming and his woman. So, and get from his past, which you find out later that, wow, that was huge. And even at the end of the movie, he still didn't let that tutoring thing go. Like, that was who he is. That's what he does. And he's like, well, I'll just go to the next town and, do my thing. That's what it felt like at the end. So
Yeah. But all right, let's go ahead and jump into the scenes and stuff. So I'm gonna start with Manic on this one. What scenes or performances stuck out to you?
One of the first scenes that stuck out was him and his wife, or him and his girlfriend. He was like, "Yeah, I got this job." And she was like, "Okay, yeah, honey, you should go ahead, take it." It's like, that's false. She was way too reasonable. She was way too attractive to be that a reason to be that reasonable. So that was one of the scenes. That was the first scene that stuck out. The next scene
You
that
said
was
she was
just,
like too agreeable. That's what you were saying.
yeah, she was a great woman. Like, just a
You
great
saying that's
woman.
rare or something?
Yeah, for sure. And she was pregnant too. Like, what? Add a double whammy to that. Yeah, she really didn't have too much flaws. She was just a very caring individual, understanding. We find out later in the movie that my man's cheated on her with, like, just on a fling weekend, and she still was just like, yeah, I'm gonna track you, or because you want me to track you, but I'm still understanding you taking these random jobs, even though I'm pregnant with this baby, and I should be the priority. But yeah, go ahead, go out there, do your job. You're not gonna hear any pushback from me, my pregnant ass. So that stuck out. The other big scene that really stuck out was when he killed Gavin. It was like, that was like the moment of truth right there. Like, when he killed Gavin and just took that deep breath of like, like, he was happy. He was like, the breath of relief. I was just like, oh, he's done this before.
Yeah.
Everything I thought about Ethan changed in that exact moment. Cause I was just like, because usually, it's a struggle. He's like, oh, he killed somebody. Just like, I did that. Like, he was just like, this is where I belong. This is home to me.
Yeah.
He's like, now I gotta go catch another body. So that really stuck out. It's just like, and then you just see him after that, pretty much after that scene, you see him in a completely different light. His eyes look different. He's definitely the aggressor. It's like his true character comes out, and it's like no more hiding and no more confusion. It's just like, this is who he is. Like, he's a very sick individual, and like, just like his father, we find out early in the movie that his dad has some demons that he was fighting that he couldn't break free from. It's just like father, like son, and it's just like, and there was mentions of it all throughout the movie, like, you're acting like your father. He's just like, and he doesn't even snap at that point. He's just like, whatever. Just, that's how he's like, when you get drunk, you just, It's just like, when you get drunk, he kind of, in his case, he tells the truth. It's just like he's really a terrible person. And when he's drunk, he just lets it go freely. He just like talking cash money about that dude who just gave him all this money, and like, weird kid for sure, but that the kid at that point hadn't done nothing that crazy to be talked about, in that negative of a light.
You
He's
crazy
still,
as hell.
he's
I gotta
still
get
just a
you some
kid.
pushback.
Nah, man, like, I mean, there's a level of professionalism that you got to have, and it's just like the way he could have told that story was so differently. He's like, man, there's this weird kid and this and that, but the way he was just talking about him was just like he was a scum of the earth, and I'm just like, yo, yeah, it was just weird. So both of those scenes stuck out. I mean, yeah, and the kid popping up too, that was another scene. But yeah, I'll just leave it at those scenes. I'll let everybody else take
All
their
right, I'll
scene.
just get my one because I only had like two. So the one scene that definitely stuck out, and that Fred was kind of touching on it. When my man came and like laid his head in his lap, I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "What's going on? What's this? This is some brokeback shit." So yeah, I was like, "Okay, I don't know about this one." That was definitely odd and stuff. So yeah, at that point, you're like, "Man, this kid is definitely weird. He's something ain't right." But when I went back and watched the movie in that scene, when the guy was kind of asking him about his mom, he kind of like froze up a couple of times. So like you said, you'll see like the kid's face where he just, that's why he kind of like skirted off in a couple of the scenes where, he made mention like, hey man, where's your mom and stuff. He started talking about it. You could tell that anger for that kid started coming out. So I didn't really catch it until like I went back and had to watch and pick up some stuff. I was like, damn, okay, that's pretty clever, because it made it seem like the kid just like took off, jetted off on that weird stuff, but he was actually, holding his composure by like leaving the scene. So, he don't give himself away and stuff. So it just looked like he was weird and had those little fits, but it was just like, he low key was just like, man, let me catch my breath so I could keep this going, so I could trap this guy in. So that scene, and then like what Fred said was like at the end where, they showed him at another place. I like that because it's like, hey, this could continue on, or maybe he comes back, hunts him down, or he just goes on with his life. It just left it so open-ended where, you're almost like, oh shit, is he gonna come back and get everybody? How's this gonna play off? So it left that thriller, that maybe that saga might be coming or something. And I'll go ahead, I'll turn it over to Casey, Fred, and then we'll go up to Amazing for what scenes, performances stuck out to you.
Obviously, she's got a lot, so I'm just gonna keep it brief. But one of them really got me was the simple fact that the illusion of him really thinking that he's at this place, and then when he finds out that, hey, the father that he thought he met wasn't the actual father, and it was actually the girl's place. And then when he another scene that got me so bad was which I never would do. I don't go around eating other people's food, and even if they say they gave it to me, I'm very particular. And so when he'll eat the
I mean, that's just
strawberry
most black
and
people,
think that
Fred.
nothing's gonna happen to him. I was like, yo, man, you setting yourself up for failure. And so it was just like, and then before you know it, he finds out later through some pictures that they set him up, got some girl in there, and he in bed, and it's just like, and his even his woman was like, so how did the pictures come out? And he's got to lie his butt off because he already saw all the pictures where he was set up and stuff. And so it was just like, you just knew that it, like I said, you were still on Ethan's side after that, and you kept saying to yourself after all these things were happening that this Jackson is a bad dude. Why is he doing this to this Tutor, man? This is crazy. And it made you keep feeling feeling sorry for him the whole time until that one point where it was just like he felt like he couldn't lie no more. And he just started telling the truth. And then, like Manic said, that moment where he kills his cousin, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, man, I can't watch this movie no more. I'm out of here. Oh, but I would have to definitely say that was a turning point right after that. You know, it was just, and he knew there was no coming back. And so that was, after that, it was almost like he was just set free. Like, oh, I don't have to lie no more. I don't have to keep this up. You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and kill everybody and just start all over again. And I feel like, honestly, if Jackson wouldn't have killed him, I think he probably would have killed everybody, including his woman and that kid. Because if truth be told, she wasn't going to just be, you know, just where the pushback comes in, Manny. She ain't going to be compliant and just let you kill her. And you know, she was gonna make a phone call. She was gonna be Karen real quick and be like, "Hey, hey, my boyfriend's trying to kill me." You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I just, like I said, those are probably the scenes that really kind of stuck out for me. I wanted to make sure I kept it brief, so that way, you know, Amazing can go ahead and take over. She probably got about 10 of them, but
all right, Amazing. What scenes and what performances stuck out to you?
Wait, Amazing. So do you have your notebook?
I actually had not taken notes the last couple. But this one I was like, okay, there's a couple I didn't want to miss. So I have my notes, but it's also next to my shopping list for the grocery store. Sure. So they're both on.
Sure. We believe that.
So the couple things, again, I just wanted to point out, just that, like, what a good job when you think about how the writers really incorporated everything into this movie with making Jackson look like a complete weirdo was the very first time where I was like, that's super weird. Like, I probably would have been like, but then again, I felt bad for Ethan, because I did feel like they made it seem like they needed that money. But Jackson said something about the baby, like in like one of the beginning scenes when Ethan first comes over. Jackson knows that Annie, was that her? I think her name was Annie.
Yeah, Annie
was pregnant, and he asked something about the baby, and Ethan's like, "How did you know about that?" Like, to me, that would be super weird. Like, if I show up and somebody like knows my spouse is about to have a baby. So to me, that was like first red flag where I would have been like, I don't know if I want to be here. Definitely the pajama scene. That was super weird. But you know what I think they did a really good job on that scene is they let you know that Ethan also thought it was super weird. Even his face, and then he's like, "What the?" You know, and you're like,
he looks around.
It's not. Yes. So I actually thought that was a pretty genius scene, just because the character knew, like, this is an effing weirdo. But then again, to me at that point, I'm like, okay, how much is that dollar worth to you? Because once again, I feel like I would have been out of there.
Yeah,
but then, you know, he like Ethan's like locking the door and everything. And, you know, like, so I just think that they did a good job at not being unrealistic, just because the way they made Ethan know that it was so weird with his response. I just thought they did a really good job at that. But also how they showed the two of them connect during that scene. Because if you remember, Jackson was talking about how he had a bad relationship with the dad, and the mom was the one who really loved him. And that's where Ethan then was like, you know, I had a bad relationship too. So it just like shows, like, again, it sets Ethan up to be such a weirdo the whole time with things like that.
Jackson.
Or Jackson, yes, yeah. Jackson, yep. So I just wanted to add that. What else was there? Oh, and then when the other scene, and I actually didn't catch this until I was listening to it via audio and not watching. But when, like I said, when Ethan leaves the police station and Jackson calls him and Ethan's like, man, please just leave me alone. I'm done with it. Just leave me alone. And he's like, you've taken everything from me. And then Jackson responds, well, you've taken everything from me too. And if you want me to stop, or if you want the shenanigans to stop, meet me where she died. But it never says where she died. And then so when Ethan shows up at the dock, and this is where I didn't catch this the first time. But then Jackson says, I told you, like, I've been trying to research this. I told you, meet me where she died, and only the police. So the police, my dad, and myself, and then the murderer knew. Like, this was in a closed file, but you showed up here. So it really connected the two from when he said, meet me where she died, because they hadn't said that at all. They just said that she was found in the river. And then Jackson goes on about she died right there, and you were the only person who knew that. Like, so obviously you are the murderer.
I didn't even catch that part.
I caught that.
Yeah. So I thought that was a good tie. And then I also thought it was super weird, like, again, red flag, when which Annie brings up, like, if he had like this girlfriend he was sleeping, or if he's having an affair with this married woman, and then she killed himself, like, it's definitely something that would come up in conversation. And after 5 years, like, if somebody don't tell you that, it's just weird, like, she Googles him and his picture's there. So I thought it did really good job at, like, dropping all these little seeds for it just to, like, explode at the end and all come together. The one thing that I was curious about, and I definitely could have missed this in the beginning, is so at the end, I knew he was crazy. Like, to me, he had the crazy eyes as soon as Jackson was like, I found her diary, and she was like calling you this pathetic puppy. And to me, that's when he looked like, oh, he's a complete wacko. And that's, to me, like, when he knew, okay, he's a nutbag. But when Jackson was hiding, like, underneath that dock, and Ethan finds him, and then Annie ends up showing up because she's tracked him. I don't remember Ethan having a gun. So, I mean, he ends up shooting, Jackson. He ends up shooting Ethan, which saves Annie. But I don't ever remember, like, I was thinking, where did that gun all of a sudden come from? And why didn't you shoot him when he was killing Gavin?
Oh no, he got the gun when he was running to hide. He went to the dock, and he opened up the box, and I thought it was going to be one of those, like, SOS type of guns.
Yeah, flare gun.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a flare gun, but I didn't know that in their SOS box they actually had a real loaded gun. Yeah, but it shows him
I missed that
grabbing
because I was like, where did that come? Okay, I missed that because I was like, where did that? I mean, I'm glad it did. But I thought again where they just did a nice job of kind of connecting all the pieces together is throughout the entire movie, Ethan talks about the connection with people and how he makes this connection with people, which is, like, how he gets these jobs and how he gets to these homes, or, like, what have you. And I think that was just, like, a good way of, like, just everything connecting together with the way, and at the very end, he was like, I think it's connection. That's how I make an impact on these kids. You know what I mean? And then you're like, okay, where's like the psychopath now? It reminded me actually of the movie. Did y'all ever watch the movie? I think it's Stepdad, and it's like a psychopath stepdad, and he gets with all these, like, different. And then at the end, you see him find a new wife and her kid, and you're like, oh, those are the next Goners. Like, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I just want to say to Fred's point, Fred had mentioned at the dock scene when his girl shows up and finds out, Fred was like, yeah, he was about to kill her too. He was definitely about to kill her.
He said he was going to.
He said
we were like, now you know too
good
much.
Together. He's like, yeah. He's like, now you know too much. We were good together. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. When he starts reading his past tense, it's like,
can I bring up something real quick? I didn't realize how pissed off he was. And for some strange reason, now that we're really digging deep and talking about it, but the simple fact of it is you guys realize he was all set and put in that same, like, lake or whatever, where basically wasn't where she died or something like that, because he he has to
Where he dumped the
come up.
body. Yeah.
Yeah, when he dumped
Yeah, and I was just like, I didn't think about that at first, but I mean, how upset he really was, about that whole situation, as if all of a sudden people were about to find out or they knew something, more than what was there. And I have to give it to Jackson. I mean, between him and obviously his cousins were in on it, but I mean, this guy literally had a serious plan. I mean, how deep do you have to go to be able to plan all this stuff up? I mean, and then you even show up that was another scene where you show up at the restaurant and they're supposed to be having dinner. What you doing all the way out here? Well, I was in the neighborhood and, they're like, what?
He was like, the food is divine.
Yeah.
Several buildings around here.
I'm 17.
He was looking at it. He was
I
like,
have
the
a
food is
life.
divine. He's like, I heard you, mother.
The other thing though, I was thinking, and I mean, not to go into like every little thing, but even when, and I think Fred, you might have mentioned it, when Ethan shows up at the house, when the real family shows up and it's like the real dad and everything, all I was thinking is, okay, literally everybody nowadays got like little doorbell cameras and all this other stuff. So how did you not realize like this whole weirdo was at your house for a week when you left your daughter behind? So there was a couple things that I was like, okay, they just that rich that he literally, like, he obviously paid off the butler, because I think the butler was the same butler, wasn't it?
Yeah, same butler. But I mean, it was his female friend. I could say that they're female friends now, because it's just like she had no other role other than like, hey, my parents are out of town, we could use my house as the bait house. So I thought at first it was just an Airbnb situation, but it wasn't even that. It was just like that was the same girl. So he just, rich people have rich friends. So it's just like, hey, she had an empty house, you guys can come over here. He literally brought his cousin, and his cousin brought his girlfriend, and so she just had some company. And Jackson was like, hey, need this place, I need to bring this tutor here, I got a situation going on. I could see them putting that together. I don't think it wasn't the only complicated part was that he knew how to get in contact with his employer. I think that was probably the most complicated part. But even the employer said, hey, they specifically asked for you, and apparently you did something really good, and there's no details on this. They're going to pay you this crazy rate. It's like, to get them to come.
Yeah.
The only thing though is if you think about like the thought put into everything, they make Jackson a genius, right? Because like even when he was doing the essay, he was like, "Have you ever seen this before?" Right? Like, so obviously he's like literally smart enough to like think a whole bunch of stuff through as far as that perspective. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of money. I mean, I feel like I make a decent amount of money, but I'm like $2,500 a day to stay in your own little pool house, basically.
Why are you trying to flex on us?
Oh, well, I don't make $2,500 a day. So I'm just saying, like, that would have been, it again makes you think, like, ooh, like, how weird is Jackson? Well, $2,500 a day.
I mean, he went to boarding school. His parents were rich, and then his dad passed. When rich people pass, they usually have trust and leave. So he was already probably balling before, after his dad died of cancer. Like, his dad had things set up. I'm sure the mother had like a nice life insurance and policy. Yeah. So I mean,
no, but I'm talking about Ethan getting paid that amount a day.
I mean, think about it, $2,500 a day, and there's 30 days in the month, because that's what the whole like, oh, we'll do that rate. 30 days in a month. How much money is that? Let me pull up my calculator.
Yeah, it's quite a bit, but like you said, for a month,
yeah, you can fake it. I mean, not fake it, but like, I mean, they're rich. Like, I mean, it's really not that much in comparison to like what they likely have. 2,500 times.
No, I don't think it's that comparison. My point was,
75,000.
A ton of money for because he was like, even his boss was like, "Hey, dude, you're gonna make like your yearly income in this 1 month if you take it." So I think that makes that's gonna make most people, I feel like, more willing to put up with crazy. it's just like,
But-
okay,
Yeah,
at
for sure.
what
But
point?
from what I got from the storyline is like it kind of made it seem like the parents almost want like him to have a friend. Like they was willing to pay for somebody to come in and he's having these weird fits. So that's why, it didn't seem far-fetched from how they kind of painted the picture. It was like he's a genius. He really don't need a tutor. He just needs like
A friend.
somebody to actually talk to his weird ass. So that's where I kind of like got it. I'm like, okay, it makes sense. He's just they need somebody to kind of like maybe help mentor him and stuff.
Babysit him.
That's why, like a man figure in his
friend,
life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big brother.
so that's
A big brother.
Yeah. Because Gavin's not doing it.
yeah.
Well,
Gavin was worried
it's funny
about
because I thought they made Gavin. I was like, what is he strung out on? Like when he first popped up in that one seat, like the pool scene.
Yeah, he was definitely
He-
on drugs. His face, everything looked
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like,
my man was on that.
whoa.
He was supplying the strawberries, so I think that's where he came in. So.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. But even the
kill him
other
already?
thing, Fred, when I think Fred mentioned the pictures. To me, that I was like, if that happened to me, like I would be calling the police. Like that's great. Like you at that point, like somebody's setting you up, dummy.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
may as well try to get ahead of it. But I mean, then at that point, you don't know that. Like again, I think that they're like, I felt like, okay, there's definitely like he's hiding secrets, but I still wasn't expecting him to be like a full blown murderer. So
Yeah.
then it kind of makes sense like why he didn't call. But yeah, as soon as those pictures showed up, I was like, this idiot, like you call the cops, dum dum, they're setting you up.
Or at least tell your girl you already came home
Something.
wet. Because I mean, it would play right into like the story, the truth. It's like, hey, you were drugged, and then you wake up in a lake. That's why you're all wet. It's like I ain't go swimming in my clothes. This don't even make any sense. And then you could have been like, oh, I was drugged. Here's these crazy pictures that they took. Because he had a perfect opportunity. She was like, how'd the pictures come out? I'd have been like, honestly, I seen some crazy stuff. I just have to show you, and then or let me tell you about it. Like I said, I was drugged, and this is what they did to me while I was drugged. Look, I'm clearly not awake. Look, my body's limp. I would have just had to get ahead of that because it's like they could have released those pictures anytime and destroyed everything he had. But it's just like at least he still had his girl.
They told the boss, because remember the boss mentioned that. He was like, so there are pictures, and then I'm like,
But they never sent the boss the pictures. They could have sent the boss the pictures and could have probably revoked his license and everything and had him in a whole different type of predicament. Like that girl might have been underage because she was at the crib.
Oh yeah, I definitely think she was underage. Well, and the other thing I was also thinking is like, and if somebody drugged me and dumped me in a lake, but then saved me, like I'm gonna go to the hospital and get like some sort of proof, like, hey, I think somebody drugged me.
Yeah, like check my system. What's in here?
But you guys are thinking from like a weak person's perspective. Just think, man. He's like, oh, y'all want to play games? In his mind, he's like, y'all know who I am. That's why, like, it makes sense why he didn't run from the house because he's just like, yeah, y'all think y'all crazy, low key.
I caught a body.
I'm that one. Y'all keep playing if y'all want to. So it makes sense why he was sticking around. He's like, yeah, nah. I'm coming back to this house. I'm getting them paychecks.
That just goes to show how well the movie was written because like at first you're like, why doesn't he just go to the cops? Like he's not gonna go to the cops. Like this dude is the type of people that the police look for. So he's gonna avoid them because they're gonna be able to see his like his inconsistencies. They're gonna be able to probably spot his crazy.
Well, because even when
he was playing, honestly, because if the truth be told, I think he was going to go ahead and take all that money and maybe probably even kill him anyway, because that's exactly what he was thinking at the very end. Because I mean, how quickly and how good and how he did the cousin and just took him out, and like Manning said, have that smile on your face like that.
Yeah, that cat was light work. He had him. He was like, okay, y'all push me to the edge. This is what y'all want. He was like, put him in that the $1 million man headlock. He was like, hey, go to sleep. It's a wrap for you.
I did think it was a little shady of Jackson during that moment, not to help his cousin out.
Oh, he was out. All that tough guy shit. He was like, hey, we're soft, sir. He was like, I apologize.
But Jackson never was. The only time he claimed to be tough was that one time where he yelled at him and like, but that was definitely his emotions of like, his mom passing and stuff like that. But yeah, my man wanted no smoke. As soon as he broke free and like pushed his cousin. Jackson was like, "Hey, he's coming after me next. Let me run."
He was like, abort plan. Abort mission.
I'm gonna go to my room and lock my door.
Well, even when he was under the dock, he was all like,
the compromise. He's in fetal position.
Yeah.
Compromise.
yeah, he was like, hey,
With the strap.
Yeah, he had to go. He was like, help.
that's why when I was like, wait a minute, because I missed him having, that's when I was like, where's the gun? Because then I was thinking, if he had the gun the whole time, why was he all bunched up underneath the dock? Like,
He didn't want to use that. He not a killer.
Well, because you remember even the scene where like the kid started beating Jackson started beating his leg and stuff. And then now it makes sense why like Ethan was just not, because yeah, at that point I'm like, hey, I gotta get the hell up out of here. You know, anybody else logical, like all the scenes we pointed out, like it's a wrap. He's just like, okay, it's like in his mind, I know where this build-up's going. They want to play this game. So you know, people like that have that like psychiatric type stuff. You know, he had that ego type stuff going on. Like, I'm coming back. Like, y'all know who y'all messing with. So it just makes sense. Like, nah, it was cleverly written. But hey, let's go ahead and jump into if you were the director or the producer of this movie, what would you change or do differently? And I'll start with Manic on that one. We'll just work our way down.
I think the movie was very well written. I would have made these are just minor tweaks. I would have made his wife a little bit less agreeable. I did like how it was like noticeable the age difference. And I would have fixed my man's hairline, because I mean that shit was bothering me the whole time. Like,
whose hairline?
Ethan's, man. From the very beginning, his shit was pushed way back in the corner, and you could just tell that like
both sides.
Yeah, both sides were like way back here, and then like, but you could tell that that's not really his hairline, because you could see like the hair's kind of growing back. So I think they were trying to give him an older look.
Oh, okay.
So he
had a wig on.
Yeah, I think it was a hairpiece, because it was like, my man is. So I would have did that differently.
Okay, amazing. If you were the director or the producer of this movie, what would you change or do differently?
Again, and I could have missed this, but I am like so curious to see what Jackson's mom looked like. I don't know why. Like, I kept thinking, like, could y'all Google a picture of her? Like, I felt like I would have rather looked at a picture when Annie was Googling things, because I wanted to see what she looked like too. Like, how did this all? I don't know. It just made me very curious. I would have liked to see her picture. I wanted to know what she looked like. That was it.
All right, Casey,
I mean, because she was like a main topic. Like, I feel like we should have at least known what her face looked like.
Oh, man, she landed a rich guy, and she was on that trophy wife status. She was bad. She was banging. All right, Casey, Fred, if you were the director or the producer of this movie, what would you change or do differently?
Okay, I'm gonna bring something back that I haven't said in a while. I would literally turn this into a mini series. So that's
with Dateline.
Hey, I can only take a little bit of this at a time. Okay, this was just that was a lot in one movie. And then the second thing, I would, in so many ways, I think I have to agree with Amazing that I literally would think it would be cool if the mom was somehow still alive. And so it was like she didn't die. He thought he killed her, but the simple fact of it is that she didn't die. And all of a sudden, it
comes
was
out
like,
of the wheelchair, like she's like halfway brain dead.
But the simple fact of it is Jackson is doing this for payback of somehow he, you know what I mean, for the attempt, but not necessarily killing her. And I think that would have been kind of cool, because they already did all these different twists, so you might as well just put one more twist at the end too. And then some of the fact that he got away, I would not have let him get away. You know, like I think they would be like waiting for him, like cops show up, you know, at the next place he was at, you know, getting ready to take him down. So those would probably be the kind of the things I was thinking about that I would probably change or do differently.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing I would have changed with this movie, possibly, because I mean, I think it was well written already, and it was just a great movie. But if they would have made Ethan a little older, and you know, like when they were like everything was kind of breaking out at the end, where definitely still make him crazy and stuff, where he killed his cousin, but he's like, hey, low key, I'm your father or something. Me and your mom had to like play this off. She was gonna go tell everything, and I didn't want to ruin your life. Some storyline like that, where it was just like they just covered it up to protect Jackson a little bit, and the whole lineage. Yeah, so where he's just like, hey, I'm really your father and stuff.
You wanted some Darth Vader, bro?
Yeah, some of that in there. Either or, like my other alternate ending was just like, he would have sat him down, kind of like, he took the gun away. He's like, look, I could kill you, but your mom was kind of for the streets. Like, you're mad at me, but I ain't married your father. She did this shit. So yeah, those would have been my two endings,
You sat him down like, hey.
Yeah. Sat him down like, hey, you're mad at me, but you seen her journal. Like, she was no saint. Like, she dogged me out. I wanted to be with her. But, hey, talk to your mom. Oh, you can't, but yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild, jerk.
Because if you honestly think about it, man, she was kind of for the, like, she was like dogging about in that book, man. He's like, she said you ain't.
Oh, you can't.
Page 25 of her journal. You wasn't hitting it right. You was nobody. But yeah, so she was kind of going in on him. So like, I mean, she just like disrespected her husband and even him. So it looked like she was just like playing around with people somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's what I kind of got from the
disrespectful in the journal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But even to the husband too, if you think about it, like, because she was, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like he had his mom on like the pedestal somewhere, but it's like, man, she ain't scot free off of this. So he was just so fixated on everybody else. Like, nah, man, she the one initiated all this stuff. Gave my man that little talk. Like, listen, you mad at us? Like, she wasn't at no Bible study. But all right, we'll go ahead and jump into the last question. Like, now that you heard other perspectives, would you like to change or keep your score the same? My bad. And let me pull up the rating. So Man and Genius,
I'm gonna keep my score. I do have the highest, so I'm gonna stick with my 8.5.
You up there. I'm gonna bump mine up a little bit. I was at an 8.1, but I'm going up to a 8.3. Definitely an excellent movie, well written. Shout out to the whole team on this one. Amazing.
I'll go up to 8.
Oh, okay. Amazing's up in excellent category. And Casey, Fred, I'm gonna put some words in your mouth. You're gonna stay the same.
Actually, I'm gonna bump mines too, but I'm gonna bump it down to a 6.
Oh, look at you and your plot twist.
Yeah, he gave us that little plot twist. I was like, okay, he's coming up. He's going to a. No, that's funny. But no, overall, man, I definitely, man, this was I like this one, man. Like I said, this was a real good storyline and plot. That plot twist, man. This one, y'all definitely go watch this movie. Like,
yeah,
definitely interesting.
Solid recommendation.
But all right, we'll go ahead and go around real quick and close this out. So, any part words, Man and Genius?
Great movie. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's on Netflix. It's called The Tutor. You can find me on the Manic Sophistication platform and IG at the Manic Genius. That's it from me.
All right, amazing.
Same. Check out the movie. If you're gonna do dirt, you better make sure you ain't doing dirt with like crazy people and their family.
You ain't lying.
Note to self. That's all I got.
All right, Casey, Fred.
Hey, everyone, at least go see this movie at least once. So, I mean, it's definitely good enough to see once. You're not going to be eating nachos on this because you're too busy trying to figure out what's going on, but it's good enough to definitely watch it. And yeah, so definitely Instagram, Twitter. Man, this was good. It was good. I enjoyed watching this with you guys. So thank you.
All
I think
right.
the other thing, sorry, just to add really quick, is this movie I think was a good conversation movie where you could just like, like talk about all the different categories and subcategories and just like everything that went on with it. It was just one of those movies that you could really, I think, just like dig into and have good conversation with.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. But all right, my parting words. First, I want to give a shout out to the Bev by Black and Decker. They make excellent. The machine makes excellent cocktails. So get y'all one of those, man. Definitely getting my usage on that machine, and we're gonna work on getting KC Fred at Kansas City Chiefs sponsor. But nah, definitely. I agree with amazing. This was a good man. This with so many layers and stuff. So great movie, man. Like well written. Definitely check this movie out and keep tuning into the channel. We're gonna keep breaking down these movies, and like I said, we're gonna be doing some theater movies also. Just working all that out right now. But all right, peace. Keep tuning in. Bye.